This is the THETA 1 month overview reading for the month of May 2024. That's THETA Network. It's currently April 25th, 2024, 3:57 p.m. Eastern Time. THETA at the time of this reading, $2 and almost 43 cents, 0.4277, and that's USD. The shuffle video that we're playing for you in the lower left corner was created on April 13th, 2024 at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. The overall theme and behavior for THETA in the month of May, we have sideways rotation that ends with a fast sudden move higher. It's also crossed with the Lover's card, indicating from a chart standpoint, the Lover's card is usually a really noticeable move to the upside, followed by a full retracement. It makes like a triangular kind of shape. But in that card position, in the helper hindrance card position, it could also indicate some sort of decision being made, and or behavior around the highest high for the month. We have sideways rotation establishing support, followed by a big move higher, and then sideways rotation at a higher price level. And somewhere in that rotation at a higher price level, we form the highest high, and most likely see more than once based on sideways rotation. Behavior around the lowest low, we have a lot of volatility and a lot of price change taking us into the low. So when you see the Prince of Swords in the low position, often what it's indicating is multiple lower lows. If you saw it in the high position, it would be like multiple higher highs. But it's in the low position, so probably multiple lower lows. Now we're going to get into the day-by-day chart behavior, as well as identifying the timing of the highest highs and the lowest lows. All that and trade information in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to make sure that everybody is aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing, as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise, or you can use YouTube tips, and that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. On the first, we have a rally that completes. So when you see the completion card, usually you see kind of like a turnover. You start out this way and then it kind of like turns over. There is a pretty sharp drop in there on the first, and a day trade opportunity indicating that there's probably a lot of price change there. We'll talk about the trade opportunity in more detail in the paid version. On the second, we have 3 pokes through the same trend line, followed by a sharp drop off of that third poke. On the third, a prominent move higher, followed by a full retracement, making it like a very triangular kind of shape on a chart, and that'll be on a multi-day scale. And then we have the full retracement actually continues into the fourth, where we have lowest low thus far, and a huge move out of that lowest low. So there's a trade opportunity there on the fourth. There's a trade opportunity there on the fifth. I'll talk about in more detail in all that. I'll talk about the trades in more detail in the paid version. On the fifth, a lot of price change and a notable multi-day trade cash out opportunity. Day trade opportunity as well, so that's another indication of a lot of price change. On the sixth, we have an important support level that's highlighted. Generally speaking, when you see the Emperor card, it indicates a support level that's important on a greater scale than the time frame of the reading. So in this case, it would be on the scale of a 1-year chart, and or it's a support level that you can rely upon. That's not always the case, because sometimes you do break through, but usually it's something you can rely upon. If it's not something that you can rely upon, then it's very, very likely that it's a support level important on a time frame bigger than that of the reading. We have a notable reversal on the 7th. It looks like probably a move to the upside. Looks like a move to the upside, followed by a full retracement of that move back down, and then we do sideways rotation along key support on the 8th with a sharp drop that stands out in that period of sideways rotation, taking us to a trough. Not a lowest low, but there's a little bit of a trough in there. There's 3 trade opportunities on the 9th, so that indicates quite a lot of price change, and very often indicates like a significant change in trend direction. But we have a peak there that forms somewhere between the 9th and the 10th. We have our first highest high, is my sense. And we have a peak that forms there, and a sharp drop off of near overbought crest, or near overbought peak, a sharp drop around the cusp of the 9th, 10th off of that high. It'll be at a price level that we break through momentarily, and it'll be an important price level on a scale of like a 1-year chart, or I should say a multi-year chart, a multi-day chart. I'm advised to be cautious on the 10th. In the midst of that sharp drop, there's also a period of sideways rotation and a big move to the upside, ending that sideways rotation. On the 11th, we have a rally into key resistance on a multi-day scale, followed by a decline with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down, taking us into a trough at the end of the day on the 11th, or on the cusp of the 11th, 12th. We do some sideways rotation. We do some sideways rotation on the 12th, and then that ends with a big move to the upside, taking us back into another high. This is somewhere around the 12th, 13th, 14th is most likely where we have another highest high. My sense is that it's probably the 13th, 14th, but it could be the 12th. Just like on the 9th, I think it's probably the morning of the 10th, on the cusp of the 9th, 10th. So that's where we see 2 of them. So that's that sideways rotation that we were talking about. And then there's a pretty significant drop, it looks like, off of the high. You want to be very careful here, guys, because there's a sharp drop into a lowest low thus far off of that highest high on the 13th or on the 14th, hard to say. On the 14th, we have a crest that we sell off from down to and through support, and we do a U-shaped reversal below that support, come back and reuse it as support. And then on the 15th, we have another prominent trough that'll stand out on a multi-day scale or on a 1-month scale. And that resistance level indicated by the Princess of Swords often indicates that you could trade in both directions, utilizing that price level of that Princess of Swords as an entry and an exit. We'll talk about that in the paid version in more detail. But before we go any further, let's take a look and see how we did for April. All right, so we have a highest high here on the 2nd, possibly on the 5th, 6th, and then again, a strong probability of like the 11th, 12th, 13th, probably the 12th, 13th. And so we have a highest high here. It looks like we were off by 1 day, basically. And in the midst of that, we also had 2 lowest lows thus far, even in the midst of that highest high. So this is pretty solid. Wow, look at that. That's that science price level. Okay, from the 5th. Should say from the 6th though. And then we come back into highs 10th, 11th, 12th, 10th, 11th, 12th. This is like that range where it was hard to determine. Right, so if you had opened up a short position in the midst of the rally early in the day on the 12th, you would have made out like a bandit. Boom, all the way down just in 2 days. We would have advised closing out of that on the cusp of the 16th, 17th. So that puts you right around here. So that would have been a really solid trade, guys. That's like a 30% decrease in the price of the coin, almost. So a little bit more, actually. But pretty solid on the highs and the lows. So then we have a lowest low on the 16th, which we're in there. It's technically here, but we have it on the 15th, the 16th, the 17th. Hard to pinpoint because it was over several days. And then on the 20th, we have this big move to the upside, indicated here, taking us to a prominent peak. Cash out opportunity the next day. And that would have been the main trade, would have been to open up a short on the 12th and close it on the 21st. So you would have left a little bit on the table there, but still would have been a really solid trade. And that also would have been advised not to wait for that. Like, the longer you wait, like if there's an opportunity here, I'm sure the words that came out of my mouth at some point were, if there's an opportunity, a good opportunity to cash out for good profits here, I would take it. I wouldn't wait for the 21st because you never know. We're not always right? So it becomes more speculative the longer you wait. Still would have made out with gains, even though we were off on that lowest low there on the 22nd. So we're off on that lowest low on the 22nd. But aside from that, guys, I mean, the main trades are all solid. We nailed the highest highs. We nailed almost all the lowest lows. Like we had one extra one in there, it looks like. So this is a pretty solid reading. If you're wondering, the Theta April reading was created on February 18, 2024 at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're interested in getting the paid version of any monthly reading, it's a great way to support the channel. It's on our website, tarotfortraders.com. You hover over our services, click on SO Meta Posts, scroll down to monthly subscription, click here to order. And you can subscribe individually to any one of these ticker symbols or crypto. We cover them every single month. All the best trades that we see, what you get in the paid version are the best trades that we see, the timing of those trades, what to look for as far as entry and exit, chart behavior into and out of those trades. If there's any price level information or price range information that we're able to extrapolate, that's in the paid version as well. And sometimes when we're recording the paid version, we see things that we didn't see when we were recording the public version. So there's bits and pieces in there that you won't get in just the public version. So you go here, subscribe, $249 a month for any individual, but the most popular subscription on the site is the all paid monthly access. It gives you access to the paid version of all of these crypto and ticker symbols, as well as any one-offs that come off, like when somebody orders a custom. For the month of April, we had THETA, we had Link, and Ethereum. In May, we've got Ethereum, we've got THETA, we've got some other things coming out. So, they change, but you get the paid version of all of those through this all paid monthly access. It's really far undervalued. This is the only place in the world you can get information this accurate, this far ahead of the market. It doesn't exist anywhere else. Thank you to everybody that goes ahead and does it. You guys are huge supporters and a big part of what goes on here at Tarot for Traders. Okay, so on the 16th, it looks like what we do is we decline off of a resistance level here around the 14th, 15th. Resistance important on a multi-day scale. We decline from that, and then at some point on the 16th, we rally back to it, and then fall from it again into the 17th. Out of a scary decline on the 17th, bit move to the higher, creating a peak around the cusp of the 17th, 18th. U-shaped dip from that peak back to roughly the same price level peak on the cusp of the 18th, 19th. Matter of fact, it might even take us higher, and then there's also a trough there. Okay, so the U-shaped dip we dip all the way into the 19th, and then there's this big move out of a trough on the 19th back to probably roughly the same price level as the peak from the cusp of the 17th, 18th-ish. And then we decline through multiple supports into a low on the 21st-ish, out of which we have an unexpectedly big move to the upside. That's going to be a really big move. This is going to be a really big move. Whoa. Yeah, see that right there? I actually think this is our highest high here. So these are probably highest highs thus far. And then we have another one here. Very likely this is the highest high around 21st, 22nd. The rally on the 22nd offers opportunity to open up a short. We decline pretty notably into a trough on the 23rd. Important on a multi-day scale. There's a peak towards the end of the day. We rally on the 24th along a diagonal trend line, break through horizontal resistance on a multi-day scale, meet another resistance, and then pull back to somewhere between those two price levels. There's a speaker on the 25th. Hard to determine if it's. I think it's probably mixed. So you could probably rely on some of what they say, and some of it shouldn't be trusted. So it's kind of a mixed ball or mixed bag of speaking. But there's a breakout on the 25th. On a multi-day scale, big move to the upside at the end of the day on the 25th. And then on the 26th, we have an important resistance level that we decline from pretty notably. Probably return back to that resistance on the 27th. On the 28th, we turn that resistance into support. And then there's a sideways fluctuating decline on the 29th. So we break through that support from the 28th. Sideways fluctuating decline into a lowest low for the month. And probably close to for the year. I don't think it's actually the lowest low for the year because I would like to see the strength card appear in the reading, indicating that. And the only thing that we have is the oppression card. So my sense is that we probably have a little bit further to go into June, but I'll have to look at that when I get into the June reading. And out of that lowest low on the 30th, we rally pretty notably, increasing with momentum moving forward into a peak on the 31st, from which we decline pretty hard into another lowest low, same low or even lower low on the 31st. And that's a sneak preview for June. We have a big move on a one-year chart scale, pushing the upper end of a range higher. It likely starts based on what I'm seeing here, it probably starts right on the end of June. But we'll have to look at that when we get into it. That's Theta Network for May 2024. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. Super important. We're counting on you here at Tarot for Traders. The world is counting on you to transmute some of that competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill and make the universe and the multiverse a better place for everybody. Blessings to all my angel investors. Stay tuned if you got the paid version. I'll see you guys on the next one.